Welcome to South TV. This is Monica Kunzekwe-Guta. I am so excited to be having this discussion, which is very important. A discussion that I think we kind of ignore, and yet it affects so many areas of our lives. Today, I have got my amazing friend, Maxine Willocks, a health and wellness coach, and we are going to be discussing issues about loneliness. Today we're talking about loneliness, sadness, and how it affects our health. So we normally talk about food affecting our health and other things, drinking, smoking, but the main cause, the root cause of those things could actually be loneliness. Maxine, can you greet your audience?
You know what? Happy holidays, everyone. Monica, it is lovely to see you again. And I'm going to set an intention. I'm so excited and passionate about what I do, but sometimes I speak fast. So my intention today is to slow down and have that same passion and intensity. So I encourage you, whoever is watching this, perhaps you'd like to set an intention of what you would like to come out of this broadcast. Because you know what? It never hurts to set an intention, you know? Loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Monica, we are social creatures. That is part of our DNA. To connect, to be heard, to hug. These are all things that are intricate parts of being a human being. And when elements of this is missing from our daily lives, then we're not living our best lives. And it will affect us in different ways. You know, for some people, the loneliness might lead to overeating.
Mm-hmm.
It might lead to substance abuse, drinking, or smoking. So it affects us in so many areas of our lives. But yet, no one wants to speak about being lonely. And we
So,
all experience it.
yes. So when we were looking at what topic to talk about, what area to focus on this week, what made you think of loneliness and sadness?
Well, you know, the pandemic has really caused us to rethink and redo the way we normally do things. And I believe a lot of people, including myself, is experiencing this. You know, we're used to connecting our friends, meeting for lunch and dinner. And we've had to change our way of living for almost a year. And I wanted to do this topic because Christmas is the one time of the year where you feel that love, that joy, that anticipation, all those good feelings come to life. And, you know, I just want people to understand that if you have spent the holidays alone, you're not the only one. Other people are feeling this, that we've had to come up with new ways to spend this holidays. And, you know, we're filled with so many memories of Christmas past, or we see on social media of what Christmas should look like and feel like. And when we don't experience this, you know, we become sad and lonely, right? And that is when we reach for things that make us forget it or feel better.
I was surprised to learn that. I'll read it here, and I'm sure people have read it. It was actually a question that I was asking people, that do you know that loneliness has the same impact on mortality as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And this makes it more dangerous than obesity, according to one doctor. It is a real danger.
It is a real danger, and it is an unspoken danger because
Mhm.
I'm really glad that things like mental health are now sociably acceptable to speak about. But
Mhm.
loneliness, again, is one of those things that is still taboo. I don't know if people see loneliness as being associated with a bad person, but um, the way society is deemed and set up, it encourages loneliness. And I'll give you an example of that.
Mhm.
Growing up as a child, I was always taught to acknowledge and say good morning and connect with people. Now we are taught to, not invade people's privacy. When we walk into an elevator, we look down. If someone says good
Mhm.
morning, it's almost awkward. So social behaviors, are lending its way to loneliness. Our neighbors, we don't speak to our neighbors anymore. You go in, you lock up, you don't connect. And that's who we are as people. We are connectors. And
Mm.
that connection that we give to each other, that feeling of community, of belonging, wow,
I
those are intricate to our well-being.
I can totally relate to that because when I grew up in Zimbabwe, and you when we were growing up, you could even greet a stranger on the street. You just say hello, how are you, and they go about their business. You go about yours. I had a shock when I went to the UK. You wouldn't talk to anyone. And if you said hello, like you're saying, in the first days, I would say hello and they wouldn't answer back. And I remember one day I was on the train and two women started to fight, physical fight, at 8 o'clock in the morning. Do you know that they fought until they stopped? And a train which was packed with people, nobody flinched. I could not believe it because where I come from, people would go, hey, hey, stop. And they would intervene and stop the fight and try to understand what is going on. But those women, for the ones who were reading a newspaper, they just carried on reading a newspaper. And I was shocked at the level of disconnection that people have with the next person. And it was shocking for me. I just realized that I'm now in a very different territory. And also, working in a crisis center, I actually remember a guy calling in to say, what place is this? Nobody talks to you. And because I answered the call and he realized that I am also African, he was saying, that is not how we grew up. And so, yeah, how
Yeah.
do we reverse it?
You know, Monica, I mean, I think as a parent, we want to keep our children safe.
Mm.
And we teach our children not to speak to strangers. Um, I think, well, what I'm seeing is from a very young age, we're conditioning children. I mean, and children are the most free, the most loving. We children come into this world with just all the goodness and the purity that make life so beautiful. We
Mm.
teach our kids not to talk to strangers. And now, I understand that, we want to keep our children safe. So I'm perhaps we need to come up with a better way to keep our children safe, but to keep communities, people connected, to know that we care about one another, that smiling to somebody could just maybe take them out of that darkness that they're in, just, like that. Opening up the door, that's a form of kindness. And
Yeah.
kindness falls under the umbrella of love. And who does not thrive when we are shown and experience love?
You see, I've got this big smile here because I thought about I've moved to a new area and it's a house. I used to live in a condo, and so I didn't have to worry about the snow. And last week it snowed really badly. I came out and I'm like, oh my God, where do I even start? So I just started shoveling the snow, just the front porch. And then I looked at the front of the garage and I'm like, because it was knee high. I'm like, there's not much I can do here. I went back and I thought maybe later on I'll come and just shove a little bit more. And I heard some noise outside. I went out and I saw these two men clearing my driveway. My God, I was so happy. I'm still happy to this day. And this is what community is. And they so they realized that, oh, you know what? She needs our help. And I think if we could do that again, if we could keep doing that, the happiness that was infused in me, I'll carry it for a long time. I'm still feeding on it because I was like, they didn't even come to knock and say, hey lady, we are clearing your garage. And I was like, when I went there, I was like, oh wow. And they're like, oh yeah, we saw you shoveling. And then we thought, no, there's no way she can do that. We're going to help her. And I was like, oh my goodness, you can see I'm beaming from that still. And it is the connection that you're talking about. It is the love, because that came from love.
Yes.
Yes.
That, Monica, that's why they say the best things in life are free.
Yes.
And kindness, oh my gosh, the ripple effects that can cause. Knowing that you have a neighbor across the street that will check up on you if they haven't seen you. Maybe they've cooked a meal, a bowl of soup, and they thought enough of you to bring a bowl over. I mean, these little acts of kindness cost us really nothing. And, these are things that we need to spread. We need to spread because these acts of kindness increase our gratitude. And
right.
I think that's why Christmas is so special. We associate Christmas with love and kindness and giving.
And sharing.
And sharing.
Yeah.
And it just makes you feel good. No matter if you say, okay, you know what? I'm not in the Christmas spirit this year. I'm having a low-key Christmas. But closer and closer to the day of Christmas, something in you just rises and changes. And you become like a little kid again. You're excited, you're happy, you're present. And these are all feelings that we associate with being a child, because children experience these feelings day in, day out.
And we also like, even though we may pretend that we don't like surprises, we like that because when we open those presents, we see that thought that has gone into that. It is something that makes it special. But whilst we are in that, we need to go through a list of ailments, diseases that are caused or exacerbated by loneliness and sadness. So we made a list earlier on. There was heart disease, there is obesity. Certainly when the pandemic started and we were all locked in the house, a lot of us were depressed. And it was like you get up from your desk, the first thing you reach for is a cupboard or the fridge. The first thing, and I remember thinking, I've always worked from home, which means what is different now? I think I've visited this fridge so many times today. What is the difference? And the difference was that I am now anxious of what is happening. I am now aware that I'm supposed to be alone. I am now aware that I don't know how long this is going to end. And as such, the anxiety, the stress, and all that of what I'm seeing on TV, what I'm hearing, and the next thing is, and also we had stocked up, right? We had stocked up
Mm.
with more food than usual, and the first thing that one would do, you get up, you go for the fridge. You get up, you're not even hungry. You go for the fridge again. There is no connection, the mind, the brain, and your stomach, because those sensors are kind of pushed away because you are not even focusing on whether the stomach is full. All you're doing until you notice that I can't fit into any of the clothes, but I don't have the money to go and buy more clothes because of that situation. So what do I need to do? So I have now started drinking more water. So the other one you mentioned was alcoholism and depression, suicide,
Mm.
and a lot of other dysfunctional habits that we pick up.
Absolutely.
So can we expand a little bit more on this list here, or some of these topics?
Yeah. Monica, I mean, we all have our fixes. We all know what we go to when we're feeling anxious, when we're feeling sad. I mean, that is the first thing that comes to us, you know. For some people, it's a drink. So whenever you're having those moments of agitation or anxiety, your brain knows that that is what you go to
Mm.
alleviate that, right? So we really have to be careful during this pandemic, during when we're not feeling our best, to really stop and think,
Mm.
what am I feeling here? Right?
Mm.
That's the danger. If we don't stop, we're just going to go into reaction mode.
Right.
And when you go into reaction mode, you're getting deeper and deeper into the subconscious with that. And it becomes harder and harder to change and isolate those habits, right?
Mm.
Um, you had spoken about working from home, and habits are so important, especially the habits that serve you well.
Mm-hmm.
And you've heard this before, that when you wake up in the morning, get up, shower, exercise, get dressed, getting dressed and looking good, put in that effort, that self-care into making yourself dress up, smell good, combing your hair. The time that you've taken for yourself says, hey, I'm worth it. Number two, you look good, so you're going to feel good,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have to, I find that for me, self-care is my go-to. Whenever I'm feeling down or out, I know that I have to replenish me. Monica, I'm not sure if we lost you, but I'm just going to continue on until you come back. Um, when you fill up your cup, I truly believe, and no, I know that when you fill up your cup, you are pouring from the top, not the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And the love that you give yourself will ooze out.
Mm.
Now, if you don't look after yourself, the opposite happens. You're pouring from an empty cup.
Yeah.
So what happens then? There's not much in the tank. There's not much to go on. So for me, self-care is the primary thing that I encourage people to do. When you're feeling lonely, you know what? Call a friend. Take it away from you, because when we make our lives and our pain about us, it intensifies. But if you can do something for someone else, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? You've just disrupted your thought pattern. And
Yeah.
it's not so bad. You call someone, hey, how are you doing? Man, that feeling that you were thinking about me, that love is going to be mirrored right back to you.
Mm.
You know, now is the perfect time. There's a lot of online courses. There are things that are free. Um, Maybe a book that you haven't read, you know? And for those who like to watch Netflix or TV, you know what? That's okay too. Maybe something educational, you know? But do something for you, because there are always things that we put off
Mm.
because we've never had the right timing.
Yes.
Now is the time to do you and invest in you.
Mm.
Some of these habits that we have, that we go to, that no longer serve us, you know, your self-care is a way to start reducing some of these habits, right? And form better and new self-serving habits.
It's very important to actually have a routine that you follow, and because once you know, eventually your habits will change. Definitely feel better when you have made an effort to make yourself look good,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
then from there the day starts. I find that if I don't go straight to have my shower, my day will be so disrupted. I can't. I'll lose so much time, and I'll be just touching this and leaving it. I touch that, and then to look and see what did I achieve today from 7 to 12. Be none, because I have not followed the routine that I know it sets my mind to know that now it's ready. It's time to go. It's ready. It's time for me to work. It's time for me to focus. If I just get get out of bed and I sit here, I'll be a bit distracted because I have not done the most essential thing to make sure that I prepare my mind and body for work.
Monica, absolutely. Because a routine is so important. Because when you have a routine, you follow through and you get things accomplished.
Mhm.
And having a sense of accomplishment that you've done something today, that is such a rewarding feeling. It feels like progress, like you're achieving something. So that's an important feeling to have. But it comes with having a routine. The moment you abandon that routine, like you said,
Mhm.
you're scattered, you're all over the place. You spend your whole day on Facebook and it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and now you have to make dinner. And what have you accomplished? Nothing.
So messed up. So loneliness affects all ages, and sometimes we forget about our loneliness because we are thinking of others. We're thinking of the elderly, for example,
Mm.
because some of them are not able to do things for themselves. but nonetheless they are in situations. It's something that I saw here in the Western world, that the elderly actually live by themselves. We don't we don't have that. There's either a grandchild, a relative's child, but there is somebody who goes and live with the elderly in our community, like back home. And so I'm acutely aware of the loneliness that the elderly here have. I cannot wrap round my head around the fact that sometimes they're struggling to get up from where they're sitting to actually think of preparing themselves a meal. And then after that, they just pack everything. Everything now is our connections. For some, we are doing it via the phone. We are doing it using computers and connections. It's something that really bothers me, that for those who are not able to use these gadgets to log in, to talk to someone, they're totally cut out.
Well, Monica, you're absolutely right, because when you have that feeling of loneliness, why bother? Why look after yourself? Why eat a healthy meal? Why take care of yourself? You just don't have that willpower to do the things that benefit you. And I'm going to take it back to kindness, because if we're kind to one another, if we're loving to one another, no matter what, if we understand that as humans, then maybe that elderly person, knowing that we're humans and we're supposed to be loving and kind to one another, or whoever it is, maybe they'll open up and speak to you, start a conversation. This kindness will be reciprocated. But when we're taught to, okay, mind our own business, don't talk to strangers, that's a form of fear.
Mm.
And that keeps our pain isolated and within us. And one of the things that we need to do is, whatever you're feeling, acknowledge it. If you don't understand what you're feeling, how are you going to address it? How are you going to make it better? So it's very important to sit with your feeling, understand that you're feeling this way, and don't get stuck in the feeling. We're all humans, and that's life. Life is up and down. What we try and do is to have more of those up moments. During the holidays, realize that this is a moment in time. You know what? I'm not feeling the best. I'm not alone. I might be alone, but this is also a moment in time. This too shall pass. Maybe it's time that, you know what? I want more human interaction. I want a romantic partner. Maybe
Right.
it's time to put some effort and planning into that. So what I'm trying to say is, you do have control over the situation if you acknowledge it and come up with a plan for it.
So how about for the elderly? I think it might be a good idea that for us, if you know that there is an elderly person in your community, make an effort to reach out more. Whereas before the pandemic, maybe you would meet them at church, or maybe you would meet them going out to do their groceries. But now they're also even more anxious, because going out to do groceries is, for them now, it's more scary because they're vulnerable. How about reaching out and say, can I do your grocery online, or I'm going to do grocery, can I get you something? Just reach out. And even just saying hello, it they will have someone to talk to. Or if they just leave maybe a card or something written that just says, if they don't want to touch it, but it just says thinking about you or something. I think we need to be intentional and look for someone. At least if we actually get intentional and actually look for someone every day, one person every day that you reach out to. Yes, the loneliness is there, but that call, that reaching out disrupts the thought of being lonely, disrupts the thought of being depressed, disrupts probably the thought of one feeling suicidal. Because in this season, I think it has been very common that most people, even those who didn't have ideations before, in this season of the pandemic, certainly when it started, a lot of young people committed suicide. It's because as social animals, we found ourselves isolated, and we didn't know what was happening, and we didn't know when it was going to end. And for most of them, they did not see any point of continuing living without knowing when they will ever be with another person,
Yeah.
with their friends. Yeah.
And you know what, too, Monica? I mean, I believe that one of the things that adds on top of this is what we see in the media. We see more negativity, more people dying. We don't see the good things that we can still do
Mhm.
for people. So that is at the forefront of our minds. So, when people see that, you have to stay away from people, you have to just take all these precautions, that fear in us overrides that kindness, because even when the pandemic started, it didn't get into my mindset that, you have to stay a certain distance from people. You can't smile. I mean, we are acting against our human grid, all the things that are built naturally in us. So it's like walking in the wind during
Mm.
this pandemic. But here's the thing that we have to remember. You don't have to walk fast in the wind. Sometimes you can slow down. And I mentioned this earlier. Smile. Smiling is such an act of kindness that costs you nothing. And what that smile can do for that other person. Say hello. Say thank you. Say, you look beautiful today. Those kind words, because maybe we're not in a position to go visit someone or, extend that act of kindness. But there's other ways that we can do it. I know people buy coffee for the next person at Tim Hortons, but kindness is the thing that is going to get us through this. Because when we show kindness to each other, we're
Mhm.
healing the planet with the vibration of love and kindness, right?
Yes. So we are now learning to smile with our eyes.
Yeah.
Because we're wearing masks all the time. So we need to learn to smile with our eyes. Let them see you. Let him or her, let them see you, that you are acknowledging. So now we are using a different way of smiling. It's just an acknowledgement to say, I see you. And they say, I see you too. And
Yeah.
that is good. That is good. Let us look at some of the comments of from people who are watching us. Kamla is happy to see us, and we have Augustine all the way from Argentina, and
Hello, Augustine from Argentina.
He's saying that he loves Jamaica and African people, and his dream is to go and live in Jamaica or Belize. Oh, wow. Okay.
Contact me.
Yes, get in touch with Maxine. She will tell you which are the best places, where are the best places to live. And yes, Kamla is just emphasizing on this no and visiting a neighbor just to make sure they're okay, you know, during this season where everybody is isolated. And Signoro here is saying that keep away from bad eating habits and avoid chemical drinks.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah, and then drinking water will extend your lifespan.
yeah.
So there is certain foods that you need to avoid because they even cause more depression with the results that they bring to you.
Salt
And
and sugar
yeah,
and processed. Yeah, yeah,
with the results that they bring to you. And so drinking water is good for you.
yeah. And a glass of water 30 minutes before you have your meal. Monica, when you're feeling restless and you want to go to the fridge, throw your boots on and go outside. Go for a walk. Eat 5, 10 minutes. I know that sometimes it's really cold, but just even
Mhm.
get that fresh oxygen to your brain and to blow out that stagnant air that from being
Mhm.
inside that we're just, breathing in that stagnant air. What air does to your brain um, is amazing.
Amazing. I
Crack
know.
the window, get some fresh air.
I know because there was a time I wasn't feeling well in the UK and I could not put my finger to say, it's this. I just knew that I wasn't well. So what I used to do is first thing in the morning, I would go outside and take, like do a breathing exercise.
Mm.
I would just first thing in the morning, I would go there and do it. And I made sure that I did it every day. I would go outside, take a deep breath and breathe out for about 10 minutes. And eventually I started feeling well. And so it was important. So I want us to talk about people who feel alone because they're also feeling lonely when they have got people around them. They actually have people in the house, they have got people surrounding them, but they still feel alone. I think those are the people who might even be at a higher risk of suicide because even though they are surrounded, they're
Yeah,
still feeling
yeah,
alone.
absolutely. And what comes to my mind with that, Monica, is people that feel alone like that, even with loved ones around them. There's something happening that maybe they don't feel safe
Mm,
talking about. And that is why it's important. I can't stress this enough
mm,
to sit with your emotions when you're feeling something. You have to identify what it is that you're feeling and give yourself permission to know that it's okay to feel that way.
mm,
Because if your body is speaking to you and you do not respond, it will speak to you in a different way that could be a lot more catastrophic.
mm,
Understanding your emotions, why you feel that way, because you're giving yourself permission. You're saying that, you know what? It's okay for me to feel this way, but I don't want to be this way forever. So
mm,
once you give yourself permission to feel that way, then act or develop habits that can make you feel better, right? And get rid of those feelings that are not serving you. And I go back to this all the time, Monica. Self-care. For
Mm,
anyone that is listening right now and you're feeling lonely, regardless of if you're by yourself or with people, do something that you love, whether it's a warm bath, watching a movie, something that is just for you.
mhm,
You can do that every day, something that is just for you. You're validating yourself. I am worth it. You're building yourself up. Those positive emotions come with
mhm.
self-care. You learn to trust yourself and you are forming internal love. Do not underestimate the
Mhm.
power of self-care. It is healing from within.
Absolutely. I got someone here, Ken Mumira. He says, "Great conversation, ladies. A phone call or a text make a difference, and then snow removal on senior's driveway is one way we can touch others." Absolutely. So here there is one element that is under underestimated, and that is volunteering of your
Mhm.
time. Because when you volunteer, you forget about your own stuff because you are now of service to the other person. I remember when I was going through a very difficult time here in Canada. I was struggling and I applied to volunteer because I thought I have got experience of working in the mental health sector and I'm just sitting on my experience here. Let me go and work and support people. So I volunteered in the crisis center and listening to other people's crisis made me forget about mine, made me put things into perspective because my struggle is emotional, is what, but if you're now talking to someone who is saying, I'm sitting right here and I'm about to top myself, you realize that your problem is nothing compared to where this person is, and so you are able to put yourself into perspective, yourself and your situation into perspective and say, okay, why am I making this a big deal? I've got somewhere to sleep. I have got food. I have got friends and family who call me. I have not my problem really. It becomes this very small. It becomes small compared to what now, because you are in the mode to help another person, and it's not just you are saving a life, because you really need to be able to speak to this person and make sure that the crisis that they are in right now, you're able to bring them back to that not being a threat to their life and to that being able to manage whatever problem they have and move forward. And so there are different ways that one can volunteer. The different services that people can go. You when you go and volunteer, and if your problem was that you are lonely and you have loneliness, the moment you switch and you're not doing for others, like you said, the moment you're doing for another human being, you are being of service. It also increases your self-worth because you were thinking, I'm useless, hey, I'm not good for nothing. But now today I managed to make somebody smile.
Yeah.
Today I managed to help someone stop whatever grave situation it was and focus on someone else. Today I did shopping for someone. Today I saved their life, which is what our health practitioners and all the frontliners, being the police, being the firefighters, being the nurses, being people who are doing counseling, are doing every day. And I often tell the shopkeepers, when I go to the grocery store, I buy my food. I tell them that they're the frontliners because they are. They are providing us food. And they often say, oh, thank you so much. It's because we also need to appreciate them. They are coming to do their work. And they are so exposed. They are more exposed than, in the hospital, the nurses and the doctors, they know that the people coming here might have something contagious. The people who are our frontliners in the store, they're saving all of us, including people who are contagious and they don't know that they're contagious at that point. And that makes them the frontliners. And the fear that they have, but they still come to work anyway to make sure that when we go to bed, our stomachs are full. If you appreciate them by just reminding them that they are important to us because they are providing everything for us, not just food, they're providing low sanitary detergents, they're providing our soap and the bath soap, they're providing everything. They're providing food and clothes because they are still going to work. It is important that we appreciate them just as much, because by us eating well, we stay healthy so that the doctors and the nurses have got less work. It's a chain. We are all connected like that. It is
And
important.
Monica, when you appreciate others, guess what? You naturally appreciate yourself and feel better about yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like I said, I can't emphasize this enough. And I encourage whoever sees this video, show an act of kindness, because it really takes nothing. A smile, opening up the door, a smile with your eyes, as you said, Monica.
Yes.
Let's heal this world with love and kindness.
Love and kindness, appreciating the next person. And then our few comments here. Augustine is suggesting that yoga is a good start for the day. Praying and meditation, and also, yes, praying and meditation. And
Waking up with gratitude.
yes, absolutely. Waking up with
And
gratitude.
forgiving somebody.
So this is what I often advise someone who comes to me and say, I'm feeling so down. I haven't done anything. I haven't achieved anything. I often ask them to make a list of 10 things that they are grateful for. And they put that list next to their bed. They read this list before going to bed. This is the last thing they read before they sleep. And this is the first thing they read when they wake up. It takes them to sleep on a good note. But also, when you go to sleep on a good note, your subconscious mind will keep working, and it will help you to come out of the deep sit where you think, oh my God, I've gone so down, I can't get I can't get back up. Read this list of 10 things that you are grateful for first thing in the morning and last thing at night. But also, if you're still struggling, read it again in the middle of the day. During midday, read the list and use blockers. Find something that blocks the trend of your thinking. I use music. If I find that I am, I just find something that gets me up, and I play the music and I start to dance. I use music. So I use music as my blocker. I pick a good book as my blocker. There's something that happens when I start to read. I kind of get my mind or my brain that gets excited. reading helps me. It takes me from when where I'm feeling not so good to where I'm feeling really good. If I do choose to watch a movie, I am a very emotional person, so I'm not going to watch one that makes me cry, because I do cry when I watch movies. So I'm not going to put one that is going to take me there. I'm going to put one on that is going to make me laugh. Or I'm going to, you need to have a couple of good friends that you can pick up the phone and speak. You say silly things and you both laugh, even if you haven't spoken to them for a month or two. You just start from right where you are, and you start talking jokes and all that, and you laugh. And soaking yourself in a good bath whilst you're playing music or when you have candles on. These are things that are not expensive. You don't even need to find money to do them, but you can find them around you. And then you do these things to make yourself feel better. Watch the Golden Girls. Yes, they do the trick all the time. Yes, Auntie Joe, I love that. They just and Thelma and Louise as well. It's it's a pair of these women who are just naughty, and then I just laugh. But yes, find ways of blocking the trend when you're starting to feel sad, when you're starting to feel lonely. When it's also good to make a list of the things that you have actually achieved in your life, especially if you're starting to feel that I haven't done anything, I haven't achieved much. Sit down, acknowledge yourself. I went to school. That subject was difficult. I passed it. You did it. You passed it, even though you passed it 10 years ago, but you graduated. You passed it. That's an achievement. Make a list of the things that you have achieved, no matter how small. Make a list of that. Remind yourself that you are someone. And when you do that, some of these things, they just melt away because they are coming to you, because you slowly started to undervalue yourself. You're slowly starting to feel useless because you're not connecting with people that you were serving anymore. But you need to remind yourself that, you know what? Actually, I am useful because I can do this. I did that. I did that. I did that. And what else do I want to achieve? Then you start making a list of where you want to go. From there, you are able to switch the trend of thinking that was going to take you downhill, to now looking up, and you're going, the only way is up, baby.
Monica, I forgot to mention that one of the things that really, really helps with loneliness is having a pet.
Oh, yes.
Oh, phenomenal, because animals come into this world knowing love and showing love. And that
Yes.
connection that that animal gives with you is so fulfilling. I had 8 birds at one time.
Oh,
So
okay.
I know the connection with animals. They teach us so much with their behavior. It's they only want you for you,
Yes.
nothing else.
No judgment.
No judgment. So a pet is a phenomenal way, you know,
That
to give and receive love.
mhm. That's actually a good point. Um, I realized this when I went to Czech Republic. In Czech Republic, I think 85% of households have got dogs. And you can actually see how calm everybody is. And you can actually see as you walk that the level of mental health is very low. And the pet is family, not in the way that most of the world views the pet as family. The pet is family in the sense that even when you go to the restaurant, you get into the restaurant, the first thing they do is to bring a bowl of water for the dog. And there are other, it was fascinating to watch. And coming from a background of mental health, I was so much aware of how people were relating, not just to the pets, but to each other. They have so much respect for each other because of the relationship, because of the calmness, because of not having time to think about nastiness, because they always have a dog. They have a responsibility. And they also have pubs. Their pubs have got dog parks. So that's the parents, right? So the parents will be having their dinner there, right? And the dogs will be jumping around there. And it's as if it's a family of kids, parents and their kids. Because when their dog starts to fight, the parents get up and, it was just amazing to watch.
Yeah.
And so you are so right. Having a pet, it helps you in so many ways. One of which, the main one, is it reduces the level of depression and mental health. So we are now coming to a close. Is there anything else that you would like to add, Maxine, to health and wellness and how to deal or to cope with loneliness and sadness?
You know what, Monica? I can't say enough of this. I want to just remind each and everyone who watches this that you are enough. Now, you may not be at the place you want to be in your life at the moment, but that's okay. Start doing you on a bigger scale and watch your life transform. Give yourself that love, that kindness, that compassion, that self care that you deserve, and just watch and see how your life becomes magical, because when you put your effort into you, you blossom, you grow from the inside out. And it can start off with, you know what? Exercising in the morning, having a bath, just something that you love, that is for you because you're worth it.
Mhm.
So just start with that one act of self love for you and watch your life change.
Yes, I so agree. So doing something you love also means that you are not doing what you don't want, so that you just please whoever has asked you to do what you don't want, because it breeds sadness and resentment, and that's not a good place to be. And do not allow people to take you for granted. Work on that resilience muscle and do things that make you happy so that you are able to give happiness and love to others. Thank you all for watching Self TV. We'll be back again next Tuesday. Tuesdays, we have Self TV for health and wellness, where we have different guests, and we'll be looking at issues that affect our health and wellness and give each other ideas and pointers of how to manage our own different situations in this season and going beyond. It is important that we continue to take care of ourselves and each other. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.